Hello. Hello and happy Friday. Welcome to another Affirmation Friday with Living Unfiltered. I am TK, Takesha. Some people call me TK for short. I'm a member of the core team here at Living Unfiltered, and I'm bringing your affirmation for this week. Our affirmation for this week has been, my beauty is enough for me. So, welcome. As you're hopping on, say hello to me. Hello to everyone who is viewing live, and hello to everyone who will view the replay. All right. Our affirmation this week has been, my beauty is enough for me. So, I just want to say, first of all, before we get started, welcome. How are you doing? How have you been doing with this affirmation? I know that this one was a very on time one for me. As some of you all shared, it was that same way for you. So just drop it in the chat. How are you doing with this affirmation? I would love to know, how are you doing and how were you doing with this affirmation? And I'm going to just get something pulled up here real quick. And then we'll get started. Okay. All right. So before we get started, I'm going to just give y'all some church announcements and then we'll get going. And then I will also explain why you see me super chill like this and why I sound like this. We will do that in just a second. Okay. Okay, awesome. All right, so welcome again, everybody who's hopped on. Welcome to Affirmation Friday. I'm your girl TK. We're going to get started. I'm going to give us some announcements real quick. So for Living Unfiltered, here are your church announcements. Please be sure that you are filling out the celebration form with birthdays and other special acknowledgments, because we want to acknowledge you. We want to celebrate you. So you will see a form pinned to the top of the group. So for celebration forms, we want to acknowledge you for birthdays and other special acknowledgments. Please fill out the volunteer form if you'd like to serve, or please fill out the prayer request and deliverance form if you want breakthrough. These are all things that we want to be able to do with you as a part of the Unfiltered community. So please, with the things that you are needing and the things that you are wanting, please fill out those forms. They are pinned at the top of the group. All right, we are still in our 2x2 challenge. So this challenge is for every one of you to invite 2 of your people to Living Unfiltered and for them to get in on this worthy work with us, okay? We are also encouraging everyone to submit a 30 to 60 second testimony of your favorite affirmation, or one that has impacted your life for the better. We want you to share the information and how it has impacted you. If you can do that in a 30 to 60 second testimony video, we would love to hear from you. And then last but not least, the official Unfiltered devotional and workbook is available for pre-order, and you can get your copy at Linktree. Now, you know the Linktree links. It's literally linktr.ee/. Okay. So at Linktree /Queen G Creative, and we will put the link in the chat. Okay. So we have a devotional and workbook, hallelujah, so that you can do this worthy work as a hard copy, as a digital copy, and when we do this every week virtually. But we want you to have access to those things. So You can pre-order that devotional and workbook now at linktree/Queen G Creative, and we will drop the link in the chat. Okay, so now let's get started with tonight's affirmation. So this week, our affirmation has been, my beauty is enough for me. And now we operate publicly and privately here in Unfiltered. So I want to explain just quickly, why are we here? Okay. So here in Unfiltered, we like to say that we do the worthy work of undoing, right? The great undoing is the worthy work that we do of undoing the lies, the filters, the presumptions, the preconceptions of what the world and other people have placed on us that do not align with the truth of God and what He has said about us. Now, I want to be very clear that we specifically in this community, we are Bible believing women who we are expanding to men and to children, but we are women who we believe in Jesus and in the Word of God, and that is how we operate here. But I do want to make sure that I mention that you are welcome here, even if that's not necessarily what you believe, because what we practice here is the strategic practice of affirmations, is strategic affirmation practice, right? And why do we say it like that? Because yes, God Himself has given us the authority to author our reality. This is also a truth that is backed by science. And so I want to make it very clear that maybe some of you have heard that you can say certain things to the universe and that the universe will bring it to you. You can intend certain things, think certain things, and will certain things, and that the universe will make it happen. And I just want to say that you've been slightly misinformed. No offense, but you've been slightly misinformed, because the universe is not going to give you anything. The creator of the universe, however, did design for you to be able to speak and think for certain things to happen, right? And we know this because we find that authority and author get their etymology in the word auctoritas, and it is to say that the same likeness in which God created us, where, God, He Himself speaks and things come into existence. He has given us that same likeness that we speak and things come into existence. And so it is a part of our authority that we can author our reality. And so you are welcome here, whether you believe in God and Jesus or not, but we will always approach this from a believing in God and Jesus standpoint and bring clarity to anyone who does not. And so I want to also say that this is backed by science, right? Where we are approaching this biblically, this is also backed by science, where science explains that through thoughts and words, you can create new neural pathways in your brain that will further create what you see in your reality. It has been proven by science that by your thought life and by your word life, you can create new realities. And I just want to say that science, right? It's not a governing authority. I think that's something that gets mixed up a lot. Science is not a governing authority. Science doesn't ever actually create anything. Rather, science is the pursuit and the application of knowledge and understanding of the natural and social world. It follows a systematic methodology that is based on evidence. So science studies natural laws, but natural laws were created by a lawmaker, and that lawmaker is God. I just wanted to be very clear about that. So why we are here is because we're utilizing the principle that God designed in us when He created us in His image. And we use that to create the world that we want, to create the world that we want to see. So what reality were we creating, or maybe just reinforcing this week? It was and is the affirmation of my beauty is enough for me. Now, I know why this one was a hot button topic for me. But I would love to hear why this one was a hot topic for you. You can drop that in the chat. But as we're doing that, I want to define the words beauty and enough. All right. Beauty, excuse me. Beauty is defined as the qualities, and this is by English Dictionary definition, Merriam-Webster, Oxford Dictionary. This is English Dictionary definition. Beauty is defined as the qualities present in a thing or person that give pleasure to the mind. So let me explain that, right? Because our brain, our spinal cord, our nerves, right? We operate with the nervous system. We operate with the central nervous system and a peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system being our brain and spinal cord. Central nervous system being like the nerves that extend out. So our peripheral nervous system is literally the way that we sense the external environment. Those senses and what we sense, they send messages to the brain as to what they perceive, and then the brain makes sense of the signal. Okay, so for example, if I touch this sweater, my fingers would feel it, and the tactile cue that it sends up to my brain would create the message that it's sensing something soft and fluffy. Okay. If I touched the stove, my fingers, the tactile perception would experience the perception, and it would then be decoded or uncoded, right, by my brain as being something that is hot and should not be touched. It's hot and it's dangerous. Don't touch, right? So our peripheral nervous system is where our senses come into play to perceive the external environment and send that perception to our mind. Our mind makes sense of that sensation, and then it tells us what that is. It tells us what it is. It gives us the perception, right? So beauty, in essence, then, by definition, is literally us seeing or sensing things of a person or a thing, and recognizing some of those qualities as being pleasing to our own mind. I'm gonna get into that in a second. Definition of the word enough: it is as much as necessary or as much as required. So this makes me want to bring up a few things. Okay, so when we say my beauty is enough for me, we could look at this a few ways. The first thing I want to bring up is that beauty is then subjective, because all of our brains don't think the same thing about what we sense. For example, when I taste something sweet, my brain will say, "Ooh, that's sweet, that's good." And it could just be the perfect level of sweetness for me. The person sitting next to me could taste the very same thing, and their brain would be like, "Ooh, that's too sweet, and that's not good." Okay. So our senses per person, our brain's going to perceive our senses as different levels and degrees and come up with different results. Okay. So beauty, that phrase, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, that is actually quite true if we go by definition that beauty is subjective. It's subjective to each person's senses and what's pleasurable for them. Okay. Beauty and what appeals to the senses is different for anyone based on many things, right? Sometimes where you live can dictate this, your culture, the media, ethnicity, your nationality, like where your location, how you were brought up, the things that are celebrated in your family and your culture, the things that are regularly practiced in your culture, right? All of these things can dictate what you perceive as beautiful. I'll give an example, right? In some countries, it's rejected to be skinny. Like in some countries, if you're skinny, that's not beautiful. Like you're supposed to be plump or plus size, and that is considered beautiful. It's considered bountiful, right? It's symbolic for them. In some countries, having certain markings on you denote beauty, right? So there's things that come into play. So now it's not just your senses and how your specific brain works, but your brain can also be influenced by location and culture and media. It can be influenced by many things to then denote what is beautiful and what is not beautiful. I also want to bring up then that trends play a huge part in this too, but I want to bring this up in a certain way of the female expression, right, of God. So we're made in God's image. God created two types of human. He created the male expression and he created the female expression. A part of the female, like the gender identity of female, is that she has influence power. She is the wombed man. And a womb is specifically designed to intake a seed, to nurture it, develop it, and then birth what started as a seed, birth it as something different, as a living, breathing, developed thing, right? And so we as women, and then let me bring up the influence part, because sometimes people are like, well, how is it that women have influential power? So women are influential power, right? That is part of our gender identity, is that we are influencers. If you look at one of the very first things that we see that Eve did in the Bible, y'all, please forgive me. I'm going to explain. I'm doing weird things with my mouth and my face. I'm going to explain in just a little bit. When we look at first occurrences in the Bible, right, between Adam and Eve, we see that Eve, after she was tricked by the serpent, she then influenced her husband to eat the fruit that he specifically was commanded to not eat, right? So Adam received the command from God to not eat of the fruit of the knowledge of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He was given that command. It's then his responsibility to maintain that command. Eve was tricked by the serpent to eat that fruit. She gave it to her husband and told him to eat it. Her influence was clearly great on him because he ate it, even though he had the command from God to not eat it. Okay. So this is where I am exemplifying that women have influential power as a part of their gender identity, as a part of us being the female expression of the likeness of God. Okay. We have influence and we are the wombed man. So we carry a seed. We don't possess the seed. We receive the seed and we turn it into something more. That is a part of what we're able to do. Okay. And this can look like more than just a child. If someone says one word to us, we can take that word and turn it into a sentence. If someone gives us a little bit of money, we can take that money and turn it into dinner being on the table, bills being paid, blah, blah, blah happening, right? When we receive a seed, we turn it into more. That is our nature. It is part of our gender identity. We receive a seed, we develop it, and we turn it into something else. All right. So with that being said, oftentimes in this world, especially in Western civilization, where media is very advanced and technology is very advanced, trends that are followed are typically from a woman or followed by women, majorly, excuse me. It's oftentimes women who are going to notice things about people. It could be men and women, but typically a woman is going to notice something about another woman and be like, girl, your hair looks cute, or girl, I love your color, or girl, I love this, or girl, that is so cute, girl, blah, blah, blah. Women are going to be the ones to notice the things. Women are also going to be the ones to influence the thing. And what happens in our American culture is because we are in a capitalistic society, the things that are popular or being noticed is then what gets promoted so that they can find ways to make money off of it. So we see trends of, like, for a period of time, it was real cute to be thin and have abs. It was real cute to have thin eyebrows, that your little pencil drawn eyebrows. It was real cute. So many things that were really cute. French manicures were like the thing for a long time, right? Now here we are where it's cute to have thick eyebrows. It's cute to have thick pouty lips. It's cute to have some color on your skin, right? To be tanned, to be highly melanated. It's real cute to have a thin waist and a big booty. Like, there are trends that happen and that women will pick them up and run with them faster than men, so to speak, because I don't really know what trend besides men having clean haircuts now to, like, we embrace locks and fros and things like that, you know what I mean? But that was a thing before, and then it went to everybody having clean cuts and waves, and then it went back to embracing more of the natural hairstyles, right? I don't know of any major trends that have affected men as much as trends constantly affecting women, hence why the beauty industry is one of the highest paid industries, one of the highest perpetuated industries, right? So I'm just making a point here that women have influential power, and oftentimes things that are perpetuated in media are things that are trendy or just influential in order to make income, influential in order to cause a certain agenda to happen. This is the point that I'm getting at. And so then I want to bring this up. In a world then where you can be whatever you want to be, you can look however you want to look, it is certainly very important that our perception and our decision making is coming from something that's constant. Hence why when we bring up these affirmations, we are affirming ourselves in the truth of what God says, especially knowing that if the definition of beauty is what you perceive to bring pleasure to yourself, what you perceive to be pleasurable, what you sense and then perceive brings you pleasure. And that can change based off of so many variables. It's so important then that we are defining things and we are perceiving things from a constant and not a variable. Okay. So, what makes you feel beautiful? Sorry, I'm starting to get the chills a little bit. I'm gonna wrap my blanket around me. What makes you feel beautiful? I asked in the post that if the media and society were not constantly perpetuating these certain ideas of beauty, what makes you feel beautiful? And so if y'all want to drop that in the chat, I'd love to know that. Okay. What makes you feel beautiful? Hold up. Let me get the affirmation because we in it. We in it now. We in it. Oh, amen. Not an error. Y'all try to play me. Okay. Talking about my beauty is enough for me 3. Okay. It's fixed. All right. So what makes you feel beautiful? Like, if we're not thinking about external perspectives, external information, aside from you and your present environment, right? Not the people and the media, not the images and the people, but like you and then maybe your environment, like your home. What makes you feel beautiful? So I would love for y'all to drop that in the chat, but I'll say for me, I feel beautiful. Like, honestly, it's not even a visual thing all the time. I feel beautiful when I'm feeling like healthy and harmonious in my body, like I got good energy, I'm not lethargic. I feel like my digestive system is running smooth. So like if I ever feel blocked up or constipated, it will immediately make me feel not beautiful. It will disrupt my feelings, but naturally so, because scientifically that's what happens in your hormones. When your digestive system gets off whack, it actually affects your mood, and it affects your energy, right? So normally I'm going to feel beautiful when I'm healthy and harmonious inside my body. I also feel very beautiful when my external environment is also clean and harmonious. So I like things to smell nice. For me, those are different, like spicy smells. Those are different smells that are reminiscent of baked goods. I know that's not everybody's jam, but that is my jam. If I have a candle in my room that smells like vanilla or smells like a cupcake, I love that. Other people don't like that, and that's okay, but that's what's beautiful to me. Okay. When my room is clean and in order and it smells nice, that makes me feel beautiful, because it makes me feel calm. It makes me feel peaceful. It makes me energized. Okay. And when I feel those things, it makes me look at myself better. Okay. When my skin is nice and clear, all right, I'll feel beautiful. If I have lines and blemishes popping up on my skin, it'll make me feel not as beautiful. And the thing about that, though, the thing about me using that as an example is, if I have lines or blemishes on my skin, that is suggestive of something internal not going right. Lines and blemishes can signify I'm not drinking enough water. I haven't taken in enough protein and collagen. Something is stressing my system. So maybe I'm not sleeping well enough. Or maybe cortisol is pumping because of an experience versus a lack of sleep, right? Cortisol is the stress hormone. So normally the things that are happening surface level for me that I don't like, it's because of some sort of disruption internally. So that's why I say, for me, I feel my most beautiful when my insides are at peace and my outside is at peace. That's when I feel real beautiful. I'm happy when things are clean, smelling good. They're clean, clear, and under control, right? Like that company used to say, clean and clear and under control. That's when I feel beautiful. It's not always about my hair or my nails or my body looking a certain way for me. That's typically not what makes me feel beautiful, because let me tell you something. Sure to be thinking she the finest woman out here. If my hair is nicely done, my face is just clean and fresh, I could be wearing some sweatpants. And somebody next to me could have the makeup, the hair, and the nails done and be in a cute little tight glittery outfit. And I will think I am more fine than that woman. As long as my hair and my face is clean and looking good, I don't care. I'll feel top of the line. Okay. So it's different. It's different for everybody. And so what makes you feel beautiful? Like when you're not receiving suggestions and projections from other places, what makes you feel the most beautiful? Drop that in the chat if you haven't already. I just gave you mine. Now, I bring those things up because God really brought up like two scriptures to me, and then he brought up an example for me that I'm going to share. So the first scripture is when we would not feel beautiful, right? Y'all are dropping in the chat what makes you feel beautiful and when you feel the most beautiful. And we're now going to talk about, so then when do you not feel beautiful, right? If you got them things happening for you that are not reliant upon external variables, then why is it that external variables can change how we start feeling about ourselves? That's where we're getting into, because if I if my hair is done how I like it, if my face is clean, and I don't care what people think about my outfit, and my room is clean and it's smelling good, then when can something on the outside make me feel like I'm not beautiful? When would that happen, right? Why then could somebody say something to me, or a comparison of myself versus what's hot in media right now? Why could that change then me feeling beautiful about myself if that's not what makes me feel beautiful in the first place, right? So this is a question that I want to ask to you, because oftentimes the things that make us feel less than or not beautiful is not even the stuff that we say makes us feel beautiful in the first place. Like, I feel beautiful when my skin is feeling clean and moisturized, and it just feels so soft to me. And that feeling of it being soft is a sensation that I love. It makes me feel beautiful. Again, beauty by definition being what we sense, like our brain then perceives certain things as being pleasurable. When my skin is soft and it ain't dry, whew, that make me feel good. That is pleasurable to me. Okay. So then why could someone say something to me about my skin and it have an effect on how I perceive my beauty? So that is the thing I want to bring up, is two things the Lord brought up to me, is that suggestions and disruptions. Suggestions and disruptions is what can come and not only challenge, but change then how we're perceiving ourselves and how we're finding pleasure in ourselves. Okay. And so the first scripture that the Lord had brought up to me was, he had just said, but who told you was naked? This is how I hear him saying that. But who told you that? Who told you was naked? Right. And so obviously, I'm referencing in Genesis chapter 3, verse 11, when God, the fall has happened, right? And Adam and Eve, they hear the voice of the Lord coming as he came every day. They were always in the garden interacting with the Lord, his presence, his voice. They were constantly with the Lord. And then this day when he comes to see his people, now they're hiding from him because they ate of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's a long of the this, of the that, of the that. So now that they've done this and sin has now entered, right? Because they were disobedient to a command directly from the Lord, but also they have received a certain bit of knowledge. And so they're hiding from God when they hear his voice coming. And, he's like, where are you? And it's not that he doesn't know where Adam is. Mind you, he's saying, Adam, where are you? Not Eve, where are you? Adam, where are you? Because Adam is who received the command. Eve influenced Adam to mess up that obedience, but Adam received the command. And so God is like, Adam, where are you? And again, this is not a gender thing. Adam, it means human. It means like the creations that came from the clay. This is all of humanity came out of this one person. Okay. So Adam, by God calling Adam, he's calling all of us. He called Adam, but Adam indicates Adam and Eve, where are you? God calling Adam indicates Gabby, Allison, Jasmine, Takesha, Jabrea, Rochelle, like like he's calling all Ariana, Candace, he's calling all of us when he calls Adam, because Adam, he means human, man, mankind, creation from the dust, creation from the clay. Like all of us are Adam. We all came from Adam. And if you don't believe me or receive that, you can find that in Acts, where the scripture says that every nation was pulled from the one man. Okay, that's why I say that. That's why I bring that up. And also, if you look up the meaning in Hebrew of the name Adam, you'll find that. So when he calls Adam, he's calling both of them, but he also already knows where they are, right? And he's like, where are you? And Adam says why he then hid. He says, well, we hid because we were afraid, because we were naked. So then God's next question is, who told you you were naked? And did you eat from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from? So that suggests to me that this suggestion from the enemy did two things. They were always naked. Okay? They have been naked the whole time. They never realized that they were naked, but also they were naked the whole time, never had a name for being naked, and never realized they were missing anything. Like, I just want to make that very clear. There was nothing wrong with their nakedness. If God intended to clothe them, he would have clothed them. He clothed their spirit with the blood and the flesh. That was the clothing. I'm digressing. We're not in a Bible study here. We're not going to go deep into this like we could and start breaking all this stuff up. That's not the point. The point is they didn't realize they were naked, and they also never saw anything wrong with it until the trick of the enemy came to suggest that they were naked, and then also that there was something sinful about being naked. They weren't naked, actually. They were clothed with blood, which carries life, and flesh, which was their suit for being here in the earth. So suggestions is what I'm getting at. You won't think something is wrong, because I'm certain that y'all wake up and be feeling yourself. I'm certain that you look at your skin and be like, girl, your brown skin is doing it. Girl, your lips are cute. Whatever. The girl, your hair. Girl, your eyes. Girl, your this. Girl, your that. I'm certain that each and every single one of us look in the mirror and be just fine with what we see until it was suggested that something else was better, until it was suggested that we needed something to be better, until it was suggested that this certain shape wasn't in, but this one was in. I'm certain that all of us were just fine with ourselves until someone said that we had a handicap or that we had an impairment. I'm certain that we were just fine with us and how we looked and how we felt and how we operated. You know, as far as like when we're in our optimal state, I'm certain we were just fine with us as we are until there was a suggestion that something was lacking. That brings me to the next point, is that the next scripture that the Lord had brought up to me, and it was really for me to ask y'all a question, was in Psalm 139, verse 14, when David is proclaiming, like, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I want to pause right there, because it was years of hearing that part of the scripture, seeing it on journals, seeing it on mugs, seeing people say it in conferences. It was years of me hearing just that part and seeing just that part before I ever actually read the whole scripture, that whole verse, and before I had actually read that whole chapter of Psalm. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. People will say this all the time as an affirmation. Let me say the whole verse, though. It says, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and I know them right well. And I'm not quoting. If y'all want me to quote the King James Version or any of these versions, let me know and I'll do that for you. But there's 3 parts to that verse. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and I know them right well. So there's layers again to this. And I encourage you to go read all of Psalm 139. Read the context. Look up the words in their original languages. Okay, so you understand what's actually happening in this chapter of Psalm. But this verse is suggesting David knowing that God has intricately made him, designed him specifically, purposed him, formed and fashioned him specifically. And he's like, God, you do really good work. Marvelous are thy works, he says, and I know them right well. So it's this is a truth about me. You did it, and you did a really good job with it. Only you and your infinite wisdom could have done this. And I know it, or I have come into an understanding of it. I agree with it. I recognize it. I'm aware of it, right? There's more than just a God, you made me like this, but it's like for you to be able to do this, like that's above normal. That's above normal. Only you can do what you do. And I realize that. All right. And so the question that I was to ask you is, do we actually realize how like wonderful and with so much thought, intention, reverence, awe, intelligence, wisdom that God has actually made us with? Like, something that caught my students off guard the other day. So typically, I'm going to run y'all through this and then we're going to move on and then we're going to be done. Typically, when I get dressed or like when I get done up, there's levels to it. Like, I am normally my chill, natural. I am my everyday look, and then I am my dressed up look. And actually the dressed up look can go even higher, because when I get dressed up, it's just that now I'm putting on foundation and like a little bit of eyeliner or something. Let somebody else get me dressed up and they done contoured my face, put some lashes on, did my eyeshadow, do blah 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 blah, 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 all the things that I'm not that great at. But like for me, there's levels to like how I present myself, right? So on an everyday basis, typically I style my hair and I will slick my little edges. That's my hair. My face, I normally will fill in my eyebrows, brush on some mascara, and brush some highlight on my face. And then I normally wear I like to wear I don't like to use lip gloss and lipstick. I just feel like I be doing too much. I feel like I always gotta make sure that it's not on my teeth. It's just mentally, it's too much for me. So I just use lip balm. But if I want a little pizzazz, I just use a tinted lip balm. So normally I have like a pink one or like a lightly red tinted lip balm, and that's what I use. And that's my everyday face. So my eyebrows are filled in, I have mascara on, and I brush highlight on my face, and I have a tinted lip balm on. That's me like cleaned up and dewy, right? So there was one day that I went to school and I didn't do that. And I just had just my natural face. No mascara, no eyebrows, just my lip balm on. And my kids were like, "You look different." And I was like, "Oh yeah? How?" Also, why y'all be clocking me like this, right? And they were like, "I didn't know you have freckles." And I'm like, "Yes, I actually have. I have a lot of freckles." And y'all can't see it because of the quality of the video stream, but I have freckles all through here. I have freckles all through my eyebrows. So sometimes it'll look like I haven't plucked my eyebrows, but actually it's not hair there. There's freckles there. But there's freckles all through here, all right here. And then I have lots of moles all over. I have spots all over, right? So the kids don't normally see that, because if I have highlight on me, they can see the highlight and not necessarily the freckles, right? So like, I didn't know you had freckles. And then they were like, "What's wrong with your eyebrows?" And I'm like, nothing's wrong with them. I just didn't fill them in with a pencil. Right. And then I had to then tell them the story though about how my eyebrows fell out a couple months ago. Not a couple months ago, a few months ago, because I had an allergic reaction to an eyebrow pencil that was used for my wedding makeup, and then I just liked the tool, so I kept using it, but I had an allergic reaction. All my eyebrows fell off, and so they're growing back. So they're like a little thin right here because they're still growing back in. So they were like, your eyebrows look different. You have freckles, right? And they were just like, you know, I threw them off a little bit. Because that's how they're used to seeing me a certain way, and then I changed it. And don't get me wrong, I don't always do my day-to-day face. I come in natural a lot, actually, but not as often as the day-to-day face. So it threw them off. So when they were just like, why do you look different? I was just very calmly like, well, sometimes I do this, but sometimes I do that. And, you know, I'm cool with it. So what's your problem? Right? So this is what I'm saying is like, so them bringing up like the freckles and them bringing up like how I looked different and stuff, and it catching them off guard is like, sometimes do we actually realize how intricately made we are and how significant like every little detail about us actually is? So much so that when you do something that's just slightly different, other people, they're flabbergasted by it. Like, there, and to bring back the influence piece about our nature as women, and for all of you men who are on here, I'm sorry I'm not speaking as much to you. Everything that I'm saying is also for you, just not the womb part and the woman part. Okay. All right. So to our influential nature as women, oftentimes, like, there is a matter of us loving what we have, but it's also for us to understand that a lot of what we do is to develop and be catalyst towards outside things, right? Because again, we receive the seed, we then nurture and develop it and produce something different. It's the same thing with everything that's around us. There's things about how you talk and about how you walk and about how you carry yourself and about the colors that you like to wear and about the inflection of your voice and the sway of your hips. Okay. I mean, there's something about how you present yourself that is absolutely impacting other people, always, for the better or for the worse. Because for those who are secure in themselves and they just appreciate what you bring, you're impacting them for the better. For those who maybe are not as secure in themselves, they're seeing something that you have and they're wanting it. And that can either be beneficial, or if they're suffering with insecurity or comparison, it can hurt them because then they would be comparing themselves to you. That is not your responsibility, but I'm just saying that all the time, at all times, you being you in every way is influencing somebody else. Oftentimes, my jokes, my laugh, my smile, right? And then I like to switch up my look all the time. And that's just because that's just me. I am not going to wear brown all the time. One day I'm going to wear brown. The next day I'm going to have teal on. Then the next day I'm going to be wearing pink. Then I'm going to be wearing yellow. Then I'm going to be wearing black. Like, I am not going to be wearing the same colors all the time. I'm going to wear an array of colors. Sometimes I like my hair long. Sometimes I like my hair short. Like, it just depends on what is bringing me pleasure, what I'm finding beautiful. So I am often switching up things, and that has an impact on people, because people will be, you're always doing something different with this, doing something different with that. It's a talking point for other people. The point that I'm bringing up is that everything about how you present yourself, right? Everything that you are made of, it is quite specific. It was heavily thought of before it was brought into existence. Like God, he didn't give you anything that you have on accident. And so when we say a statement like that, sometimes then questions that come to mind is like when people are feeling like they're lacking certain things or unable to do certain things, or experiencing certain hardships like in their health, or things that are just supposed to be a normal function of our body, but they're experiencing a handicap or a health issue, then they could be like, well, if God made me, then why'd he make me like this, right? Because I'm struggling with these certain things, right? And I want to just bring up two things, and it's one, two, three, four. You're seeing this tonight. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 as I'm saying this right now. So there's an order. There's an order and a sequence. There's two things I really want to bring up, and one of them is that there is a design with which God calls you to function. And unfortunately, because your earth suit has to live in a fallen and sinful world, there are certain things that are happening in your body or to your body that are not a part of God's design for you. Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing is that when we do experience these shortcomings or these handicaps or these issues, it is also then, because we are in a fallen and sinful world, it is more of a beckoning from the Lord to come to him, to ask him certain questions, to give him certain pains and experiences, to go to your Father with what you are experiencing or dealing with. Oh my God, y'all, a bald eagle just descended in my window view, and it was like flying down to capture something. That's wild what that looks like. So just for context, because y'all are like, girl, what you talking about, bald eagles? I live on a lake. I guess it's a pond. It's named a pond, but I think the body of water is actually a lake. I don't know. Anyway, I live on a large pond, and what happens is the eagles from the nearby zoo, they often, when they leave their is it called an capture? When they leave the spot where you could walk by their exhibit and see them, when they leave their home at the zoo, they come here to our backyard, to this body of water, because there's a lot of high trees over here, and then there's obviously a lot of wildlife because we live by trees and water. And so there's two bald eagles, a brown eagle, and a hawk that come in our backyard. And so one of them just flew across the way. Anyway, refocus. All right. So again, when we are ever experiencing shortcomings in what we feel like is well, God, then why did you make me like this? It is not because God made you imperfect, or he made you faulty, or he made you and things aren't working. That is not the nature of our God. He is only full of all the things that he is, and he made you in his likeness. In your earth suit, he designed it with lots of systems in it to work in very intricate ways with each other. And so if ever you're experiencing shortcomings or things that you feel like are failing or are handicapped or are issued, then it is actually an invitation to give that to him, and to continuously like offer that thing to him, because there is something he wants you to know about his character, or there's something he wants to do through you and the shortcoming you think you're experiencing. For example, I'll use this since there's a lot of women here, women who have either been violated and are now unable to bear children, or women who find it that they have a hard time bearing children. One of the first things that can often happen is, Lord, why did you allow this to happen to me? Or Lord, why can I not do the one thing that you have designed a woman to do, right? A wombed man to carry a seed, to develop and birth it, right? And I want to I want to just encourage people in a moment like that, or in moments like that. Right? So in specific moments where they're dealing with miscarriages or not being able to birth children, and then any other like as moment where you're experiencing hardships with your health or with your body or whatever it is, I want to encourage you to always give your feelings, your thoughts, your hardship to the Lord, and ask the questions of, Lord, what is it that you want me to learn from this, to do with this, to know about you, versus automatically thinking something's wrong with you, because you are actually the upgraded creation. And I want to be very clear about that. God, and I'm being funny with this, but I'm actually being serious. God created man. He said it was good. He then pulled the woman out of the man and said it was very good. So you are the upgraded creation. And I want to be very clear about you being the upgraded creation. So our default or our initial question should never be, what's wrong with me? Because nothing's wrong with you. If you are ever experiencing a shortcoming or a hardship, I encourage you to give that to the Lord and ask him different questions, not what's wrong with me, because then that's a slap in the face of your creator, and as if he doesn't know what he was doing when he made you. You know what I mean? And we see in the scripture that he very specifically and intricately, he knows us. He knew us. He formed us. He fashioned us. He knows exactly how we're going to come out. And he knows exactly what's happening in this sinful world. He does everything for a reason. He does everything with a purpose. And so there is always something that's coming out of the shortcoming, or it's always something he wants us to learn in the shortcoming. And so I always want to encourage you to ask different questions to your Father and to take it to him, and to never first look at you and think, what's wrong with me? Always first look to your Father. Now I want to move into the next thing, which is wrapping us up. And it's explaining, like I said, why I am looking and sounding a certain way. So in the post on Monday, besides me asking you, when do you feel the most beautiful? The other thing that I had brought up was like a little scenario where the person in the scenario was going to put on some clothes. The clothes were actually not fitting them, but that caused some chaos in them, because that was the big clothes, the loose clothes. And if they were tight, then that means that the person gained weight, and then it turned into a downward spiral from there. That was a real experience for me the other day. Not the other day. I guess it's been a few weeks now, maybe actually a little over a month now. I went to get dressed and thinking that, I had in my mind how this outfit was going to be, and I was going to be cute and comfortable, right? And then I go to put on my pants, and my pants were tight and they were uncomfortable, and it was hard for me to button them and zip them. And because of that, I was like, oh my gosh, like, these are my big girl pants, and now my big girl pants are too tight. So then I ended up weighing myself, and I actually had gained 10 pounds. Now, this is cumulative. This is not just all of a sudden. This is over time. And so, like, there were the jokes of, well, I'm a newlywed, so like that's that happy marriage weight. And there were the jokes of, like, I'm also a teacher, and so the teaching job can be stressful. And so there's a combination of probably having some stress weight and some happy weight on me, right? And that's good and well. I didn't take any of those things serious or to heart, because those can both be very true realities, right? But for me, what I started doing was, after I got out of the quick, like, oh my God, I've gained 10 pounds. My big clothes don't fit. They're tight. What's going on? What have I been doing differently to gain all this weight? Now I'm like, what's going on? Once I got out of that mode, and the Lord was like, girl, you're fine. Like, get yourself together real quick. Like, me and the Lord had my little check me moment. It was then that I actually started to sit with, well, why am I not okay with gaining weight then if I have gained weight? That's when we start getting to the root of the thing, right? And really, the problem was, I understand my job is stressful. I understand that I am very happy in my marriage, right? And gaining weight is not necessarily an issue for me because I don't think that I look bad. What was happening is I was feeling bad. And I was feeling bad because I was having these weird experiences with me breaking out, with not sleeping well, with my energy not feeling right, with feeling all these like moments of like tightness and like tension in my joints in my body, having these different bouts of nerve pain, having what feels like it felt like a blockage right in my stomach, my digestive system. So it was like, for me, when I got past the superficial part of it and I was sitting with the Lord, it was like, no, I actually don't feel like myself. I don't feel well. So then now I have to go with the Lord to looking at, well, why don't I feel well, or what is causing me to not feel well? So then that's when I'm analyzing what has changed in my routine. How can I implement more sleep? How can I facilitate more rest? How can I facilitate being more active? How can I facilitate a change in my eating and my supplementation, right? So that started being the thing that me and the Lord started sitting with until the other day, literally on Wednesday. So today's Friday, literally on Wednesday, I, after work, had to go to the ER because I was having all kinds of symptoms that are abnormal for me. But at this point, they've now happened more than I would like to admit. And I did not look into it before. This time I felt like I needed to look into it because the thing that happened on top of all these other symptoms that I had been having periodically is that I started having tightness and pain in my left arm and chest. And so for any of you who know what that indicates, and for any of you who don't, I'll just clarify, is that first of all, women are the higher statistic, right, of having heart related or cardiac related deaths and diseases. We have a higher statistic of dying from those reasons versus men. But also when you start experiencing certain tightness or pains, especially indicated on your left arm or surrounding your chest, then that can be a sign or symptom for something cardiac related, right? So that actually scared me. And so then on top of all the other things that I was experiencing, when I started feeling that, and this has now all happened too many times, I was like, I think I should actually go get checked out. So go to the hospital. They test me for all kinds of things because all the symptoms I had a severe migraine, my throat, my ears, my neck, were all aching. I had a fever. I'm having the chills because I have a fever, and I'm very nauseous. And then I had the left arm, chest, and pain, left arm and chest tightness and pain. So with all of those things, and then also what was happening was like my brain was trying to shut my body down, like extreme lethargy, but I wasn't actually tired. It was like my brain was not letting my eyes stay open. Like it was trying to stop me, and make me like stop and shut off. And that also scared me because I couldn't pull myself together. I'm like, my brain's trying to shut my body down. What is going on? And so because of all of those things, I was like, yeah, let's get this checked out. So go to the ER and they do all kinds of tests on me. I mean, chest x-ray, EKG, pregnancy test, COVID test, flu test, strep throat. They test me for all the things. So what it turns out is that I had strep throat. And Strep throat, for those of you who don't know, is a bacteria. I'm going somewhere with all of this, so y'all just track with my story time real quick. Strep throat is a bacterial infection. The bacteria will cause inflammation in your sinus areas, but typically like your upper respiratory and then neck and head areas, right? So my throat is swollen, my lymph nodes in my throat, they're swollen, right? I'm having inflammation in my ears, and I have inflammation in my neck and shoulders, right? And the inflammation is then what is causing for the migraine to happen, the nausea to happen, and then that left arm and chest stuff, it was actually nerve pain because of the inflammation. It wasn't anything to do with my heart, praise God. Now, hearing all of those things and then hearing what I am to do afterwards leads me into why I'm bringing this up for y'all. So this is not the first time that I started having this experience, right? A few months ago, I had a similar experience where I just felt awful. And like I told my mom, like, can you just keep an eye out for the kids until my husband, got home. And I laid in bed. I could not get up. Like I felt so weak. I felt awful. Like all up in here was achy and throbbing, and I felt nauseous. I started having the chills. I had a fever, and I laid in bed all night long. I could not move, seriously. And I ended up like sweating it out through the night, took some medicine, sweat it out through the night. And then since then, what has happened for the next few months is that every couple of weeks, I was getting sick again. I was getting like a head cold or something, like sore throat and inflamed in my throat. Like I was just continuously having these moments of ear aches, throat aches, headaches, hoarse throat, cough. Like it just kept happening. But not only did that happen to me every few weeks, it was also like my daughters, my husband, my mom, my dad, one of us every couple of days was sick. Therefore, then all of us every few weeks was sick. Like it was literally like going person to person to person, just bouncing around. And I was really getting annoyed and fed up with that. And I was like, God, why are you allowing sickness to continuously hit my house? When you told me I'm in a season where God is like, use your authority. And he keeps telling me to call down things from heaven. And he keeps telling me to speak certain things. And he keeps telling me how my voice has a certain weight on it in this season. And I'm like, God, if you keep telling me that and you keep wanting me to use that, I am praying particularly. I am praying and calling and speaking things. Why do you keep letting sickness hit my house? Well, one thing that I know about the Lord is that even when you think you don't get the answer right away, he always makes sure to bring something full circle for you. He will give you the answer. He will give the clarity. He will bring the revelation. You might not feel clear in the moment, but our God is not a God of confusion. And so if there's something that you're not feeling clear on, I guarantee you it's because it's something he has said to you before and he just needs you to go back to it, or it's something that he's going to give you the full revelation of coming soon, if not presently happening. So what God does through this, me going to the ER finally after all these times of being sick and all these times of my family being sick, God has the doctor to talk to me about then my discharge plans. He says, Mrs. Glidden, you have strep throat. That's why you're experiencing all the things you're experiencing. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to prescribe you an antibiotic. I'm going to prescribe you an ibuprofen. I'm also going to just recommend you take this certain throat lozenge. And so I asked him, like, just typical protocol with an antibiotic. Normally a doctor is going to tell you to take some probiotics when you're on an antibiotic. And let me explain this for those of you who don't know. I'm sure most of you probably do, but let me explain for those of you who don't know. An antibiotic is going to kill all the bacteria in your body. Your body actually needs good bacteria. Good bacteria plays a part in your immune health, is housed mostly in your digestive system. Hence why you will hear health coaches like myself teach you that your digestive system is like the center of your wellness, because it will affect your immunity, your hormones, and how other systems in your body will function properly or improperly. So what happens is, in your digestive system, your good bacteria needs to be in your gut, so that when things that are not necessarily as good for you enter, it will tell your immune system to release like your white T cells, and the good bacteria will try to break down the bad bacteria. It will try to fight it off, decrease it, get rid of it, those things, right? Bad bacteria is then also doing the opposite. Bad bacteria is going to break down the good bacteria, right? So one of the sides are going to consume the other. So when you remove all bacteria, you want to replenish the good bacteria. So often the doctor will give you, if they give you a prescription of an antibiotic, they will tell you, you want to make sure that you take like a daily dose of a probiotic. Now, probiotics are the actual good bacteria. The prefix pro, meaning good, biotic bacteria, good bacteria. Prebiotics are the food that good bacteria feed on. So you'll hear that combo, prebiotic, probiotic. You want to consume those together, because the food to the good bacteria is going to help the good bacteria to grow and flourish and multiply. Good bacteria is what's going to keep your stomach nice and flat, things moving real smooth, and your hormones and your immune system functioning properly, right? Should there be a disruption to the good bacteria in your body, you start experiencing all kinds of things, mood changes, hormones not receiving signals properly and doing what they're supposed to do properly, disruptions in how you poop and pee. Women will often see disruptions in their vaginal health, whether it be pain, smells, discharges, whatever the case may be. So bacteria can affect a lot of things in the body, and in the female body especially, right? So bacteria, how you can get bacterial infections is so many things. It's really just by being a human and being around other humans. That's how you can get bacterial infections, okay? Because bacterial infections, they are airborne. So if there are any things that you inhale from the air, for example, if somebody coughs in the air and you just so happen to inhale it as a passerby, you can get a bacterial infection from droplets. Again, someone sneezes and a droplet gets on you and your skin ingests it, right? Like, you can get a bacterial infection. Direct and indirect contact. So if the bacteria is on like a surface and it hasn't been disinfected before you touch it, that's indirect contact with the bacteria. So like, you can get a bacterial infection literally just by living life. If you eat or consume anything that is contaminated with a certain bacteria, like, you're getting it. If a bug bites you and it has a bacteria, like, you know what I mean? Like, just by being human and by being around other humans or things, like, you can catch a bacterial infection quite easily. It's why it's so important for us to maintain like regular hygiene, washing of hands, disinfecting common surfaces, right? It's why my best friends, they don't let you come in their house with your shoes on. Leave your outside shoes outside the house, and you come in this clean, disinfected floor with your socks. So it's very easy to spread bad bacteria. So back to why we're bringing this up. So doctor says I have strep, gives me an antibiotic for the bacteria, gives me ibuprofen for the pain that I'm having, and tells me, take a probiotic. And now I have to take the antibiotic for 10 days. That is to ensure, because I have a higher dosage of the antibiotic, this is to ensure that it kills the bacteria that is causing the inflammation, the nerve pain, all of this stuff, to make sure it gets out of my system, right? And as my husband and I were like talking about this later, God starts bringing revelation. Like, if y'all think God don't be talking, you're misinformed. God is talking all the time. Sometimes he's speaking quietly. Sometimes he's talking a little louder if you ain't listening to the quiet side, okay? God is talking all the time. And if you will have an ear to hear, he will speak through anything to get your attention, because he loves you. And so my husband and I were talking, and I was like, I was just trying to figure out, like, man, I wonder, like, good thing we found out, right, that this was strep, because now we know that this was not my supplements. This was not my diet. Like, it actually was not a me thing. I caught it because, unfortunately, at my school, other people had strep, and I alone have 60 students a day, just in the 2 classes that I teach. I also co-teach another grade that then has their students. I also walk those kids everywhere that they go in the building, right? So it's like I'm in contact with hundreds of kids every day for 8 hours a day. So anybody could have had it and be spreading it, then touched the doorknob, coughed in the hallway, and I walked past it, right? I could have caught this anywhere, but strep had been going around the school. And so, so anyway, so I caught it. And the symptoms that I was having, I was telling my husband, like, thank goodness I'm realizing that it wasn't from, I thought it could have been me. Like, maybe I'm feeling like this because I'm having reactions to the supplements I'm taking. The supplements that are to help me be healthy, mind you. Because the only difference in my routine is that I work at this job. And so I'm not working out as much. I'm not sleeping as much. And then I started a new brand of supplements. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's the supplements. And we're sitting here like we're going through all the things that could cause it. So we were so grateful to find out, like, nah, you caught strep because people at school got strep. You got strep. So looking at it, I was just like, babe, like, bro, remember a few months ago when I came home and I literally had to lay down all night long. I had a fever. I had all these same symptoms. I never got checked out. And then the next day after, I went right back to work, and then now had repeated incidents of catching colds, having head colds, having sore throats, blah, 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 all the things, right? And I was like, if I never would have came to the doctor today, I would have never known that this is what it was. What if a couple months ago I had strep when it was going around the school and I just never knew? And so that bacteria has just been inside of me all this time, causing for all those little flare-up moments every now and then, because my immune system is fighting it, right? But when it was getting the better hand, when it was getting the better of my immune system, it was flaring up, and I'm just thinking that I'm just getting a cold again or getting this again. But really, the bacteria was never out of my body because I never took an antibiotic to completely kill it. I never completely got rid of whatever happened the first time. And so we're talking about that, right? And with us realizing that, and the Lord actually helping us to realize, like, you never got rid of the first disruption. So I have not allowed for sickness to continuously hit your house. When the first suggestion came and when the first disruption came, you never fully removed it. Therefore, it allowed for all these other things to happen, right? So therefore, I had all these other instances of sickness. Therefore, I have since then gained 10 pounds, right? And here I'm saying this, that I realize that this is the culprit because I took that first dose of the antibiotic and my stomach flattened out. And that feeling of having that blockage in my stomach, in my like pelvis, that was making me feel really weird, where I thought I was like gaining weight and I was going down that spiral right when I put the jeans on. And so then we backtracked to I actually just wasn't feeling well in my body. Why am I not feeling well? And then me and God have to go on this journey of it. The first night I took the antibiotic to get rid of this bacteria, my stomach flattened out. And that blockage feeling that I was having, it went away. So that suggests to me that that was from the bacteria that was in my system. So, of course, now I'm only 3 days into fighting the strep, right? And I'm still having the off and on fever. I'm still having the ear and the throat ache, but I'm feeling relief each day as I'm resting and I'm taking the antibiotic and I'm taking my pre and probiotics and I'm taking my other supplements and I'm eating well, right? And hydrating myself. I'm feeling relief as I keep going. I'm not all the way there yet. Y'all keep praying for me, but God was bringing it full circle, because like I said, God, if you have not received clarity yet, God is working for you to get revelation as you're seeking him. And he was bringing it full circle to me. Hence where we're coming in. I'm going to close this out. Hence where we're getting to this affirmation of my beauty is enough for me. The full circle realization of I only started feeling some type of way about my beauty and about my health because there was a bacterial infection that was within me that I never got rid of in the first occurrence. So it was now allowed to sit in my system and fester and wreak havoc, so that when it flared up to this intensity, there was no choice but for me to go see the doctor and then be put on an antibiotic to now kill the disruption and then replenish myself with good bacteria. God brought it full circle to suggest then what you should already be assuming from what I'm saying is that my beauty is enough for me. You're affirming yourself in this way because you probably never thought there was something wrong or something lacking from your beauty until a suggestion was made or a disruption came. God had already given you everything that was needed for you to accomplish your destiny. And if there are things that are coming up to thwart that, how you think about yourself and what you're seeing in your reality, then I want to challenge you to go check the original source of the disruption, to remove it from you. And I don't care if this is a person, place, or thing. Go check the source of the disruption and remove it from you or yourself. Remove yourself from it, remove it from you. And replenish yourself with probiotics. Replenish yourself with good bacteria. Replenish yourself with the truth of God. Replenish yourself with the things that you knew and you know make you feel beautiful. Remove the suggestion and the disruption. Get rid of it. Get it out of you. Get away from it. Get it away from you. And now replenish yourself. What is true? What actually makes you feel beautiful? Because who told you were naked? When did you not realize that God's works were marvelous? When did you not know them right well, that you were fearfully and wonderfully made? So I pray that all of this made sense. I pray that it blesses you. And again, affirm yourself. My beauty, it is enough for me. Meaning, I like what I got going on here. What I sense, it's pleasurable for me. And it don't matter what y'all think, because it's enough for me. And guess what? Everything that's enough for you is all that you need to accomplish your mission here on this earth, to fulfill your destiny here on this earth, to be everything that you're supposed to be here. Because that's all you're called to do, is to fulfill your mission, to fulfill your assignment, to accomplish your destiny. You are not to fulfill somebody else's thought of or idea or suggestion of your destiny. You fulfill your destiny, and when you are completely obedient and submitted to your destiny and to what God has called for you in this earth, by default, your destiny impacts everyone it's supposed to impact and everything it's supposed to impact. So my beauty is enough for me. And I want to just say this. I meant to say it earlier. I'm sorry this has been such a long talk. I had to take my time because your girl is already, I'm hot and cold right now. My ears are all blocked up. My jaw is tight. It's so many things that are happening. But I knew I had to come forth and bring this because God brought this full circle for me. And I wanted to make sure I shared it with you. The only time, right? Because remember, I said, I be feeling myself. If my hair is done and my face is clean, I be feeling myself. I never thought nothing different about myself until ex-boyfriends or whatever would be like, I like you with long hair. Your long hair is cute. Well, boo, I like my short hair. And if you don't like my short hair, why are you fooling with me? Or men who would be like, you got a cute shape, but you would look cute if your butt was a little fatter. Well, nigga, why you checking for me then? If my butt is too flat for you, is what I want to know. It be the people who say the thing of, well, I like you like this, that make me want to be like, well, I'm cool with what I got going on. And guess what? I liked it better before you opened your mouth and said that dumb statement out your mouth. How about that? I liked you better when you shut up. How about that? Because I like what I got going on over here. And I was not feeling no type of way about it until you try to bring your suggestion. Okay? So keep your suggestions. Keep your comments. Keep your projections. Because I'm fine over here. Okay? And I really want to just rub that off on you, that you have that same attitude. What I got going on over here, I like it. I like myself. My beauty is enough for me. So keep what you got to say. Keep your thoughts. If you don't like this, keep it pushing. Because as a matter of fact, you're just helping me to weed through the people who shouldn't be connected to me anyway. If you don't like what I got going on over here, then I'm not for you. Okay? Bye. And I'll say this last thing. You are going to be constantly evolving. You're going to be constantly changing. And so it's not necessarily if somebody likes you when you got your blonde hair versus your red hair, right? But if someone can't get with the character of you, what the essence of you, then that's what I'm getting at, is they're just helping to weed themselves out. They shouldn't be connected to you. If they're trying to change your character and your essence, because your aesthetic is going to change. Like I said, sometimes I wear bright colors, sometimes I wear dark colors. Sometimes I got this little orangey hair, and sometimes I have dark brown hair. Sometimes I have blonde hair. Like, my aesthetic will change constantly, but the essence of who I am, it will remain and will only evolve into more of the true version of who I am, right? Because our worthy work is the great undoing. There are things that are placed on us that God did not put there, and we are constantly getting back to our original design. So you will always evolve back to the original design. If someone can't get with the God you, the evolved you, the constantly changing towards the true you, that's who I'm saying y'all got to get rid of. So my beauty is enough for me. And if it's not enough for you, get on somewhere. That's the attitude and the vibe that I'm trying to give to y'all. Remove the suggestions, remove the disruptions that made you realize you were naked and that tried to suggest that being naked was a bad thing. Whew. My ear just opened up. Remove the suggestions and the disruptions and replenish yourself with good bacteria. So I love y'all. That's all I got. I think an hour and a half was enough. And stay tuned on Monday when we come back with our next affirmation. Don't forget to keep checking the announcements in the group. Fill out those things so that we can celebrate you, so that we can do life with you. All right. I love y'all. Have a great Friday. And I'll talk to you later.